Welcome to episode 2 of In the Weeds, where we go and we're going to do a deep dive into the week 3 performance of Michael Penix and see if he actually was bad or if, it was just poor circumstances around him and whether or not you should panic about him in Dynasty. So here I went through and I charted every single Michael Penix passing attempt, every drop back he had, and I have kind of who was targeted, what kind of the route was, and kind of some notes on that play. Now, this context is really, really important, obviously, because if you just look at the box score, it doesn't necessarily contain this kind of information, right? Like, you wouldn't know that he had like three or four passes that were dropped that caused the drives that they were on to kind of stall out. And so maybe in the future, I should include a column for down and distance that would help provide even further context. But yeah, so the first play, it was just a simple kind of check and release. They did this a few times throughout the entire game with Kyle Pitts. We can then filter it down. I have every play timestamp too, so if you wanted to go back and look at the play yourself, you could go and click on that or find the timestamp of the game. It's the quarter and the timestamp there. But you see, they did this check and release four times, right? And it was every Kyle Pitts target that he had in the game, I'm guessing, unless I missed something. Um, But yeah, it was the first play. There's, a defender in his face, and he kind of just sidearmed it to kind of get around the defender. It was a tough throw and also a difficult pass to catch. I don't think, it's bad on either Pitt's side or Penix side. I think it's just Penix tried to make a play, didn't work out because it was a tough throw. And yeah, so that was kind of, I didn't see that as that much of a negative. Um, And then so we can go on to the next play, and he just had like a pretty basic short out to London on the left side. Picked up a first, pretty well thrown ball. Um, and then Mooney, he tried to hit on like a crosser. I think it was coming over from the right side, if I remember correctly, and he didn't catch the ball. He kind of like he dove for it, and the ball hit the ground. That was Mooney's first drop. Then he hit Mooney on a deep curl. They kept on trying to hit these deep curls on the outsides. Um, and it was kind of strange considering how well the Pitts in the Pitts passes in the middle were actually pretty effective. So I'm kind of confused why they were attacking the outsides so much on these deeper curl hitch kind of patterns. Um, and then so he completed an out route to Drake London, so he got into a little bit of a rhythm here, and then he was under pressure and just kind of threw it away. Um, then he had London on a medium depth to curl, and he kind of sailed it, but I don't know. There wasn't much separation. It seemed like he was really just trying to avoid the ball getting intercepted, but still kind of give London a chance. That's something that Penix does can like pretty often, I think. And maybe it's just me interpreting it that way. But from what I can tell, it's like he oftentimes will sail passes a little bit, but it's not necessarily that um he's like actually sailing it. It's just there's a defender really nearby, really close by, and he's trying to like make it so that his receiver can get the ball but the defense can't. But oftentimes like neither can get it. So um it's not like a big deal. I kind of like that about his game. Like it kind of shows that he's even when it's not there, like he's still kind of trying to make a play. Um, but yeah, and then so they had a delay of game right after that. You see that they wound up. punting. There was a lot of time that was used up by the Panthers on offense. Like the Panthers offense was out there a lot. So ultimately the Falcons offense didn't really get that much get that many opportunities even. Like you see, this is the whole first quarter. Um, they had this one series that was pretty long at the beginning. Um, or maybe this was two series, they just broke it up. But you see there's like a whole 5 minute gap between when they actually got the ball back when they gave it up at the about 11-minute mark. Um, they get it back and then they kind of like used up basically the rest of the clock in the first. Um, but yeah, that's something that I noticed was it seemed like the Panthers offense was on the field a lot, maybe more time than the Falcons as a whole, I would guess. But yeah, so they had a delay of game. This was an issue last week because of the crowd noise. They couldn't like hear enough to get the play in, and so this exact same thing kind of happened in this instance, and kind of sucks. But what are you gonna do when the crowd is really loud? You can't hear anything. Um, and then on the next play, he's pressured and he's trying to complete a pass. I couldn't really make out who he was targeting. Um, didn't really get near a targeted receiver, but he basically was getting hit as he was releasing the ball. So not much Penix could have really done there. It didn't seem like any of the pressure was his fault either. Like it seemed like the Panthers were doing a good job of blitzing and kind of just their pass rush in general was pretty effective to start this game. Then he was under pressure again, threw the check down to Charlie Warner that was lined up in the backfield. Um, this it wasn't really a flat route. Maybe it was like I don't know. He just kind of ran out to the right a little bit while still in the backfield, and he kind of dumped it off to him. But that play got blown up immediately by the defense. There wasn't anything there really. Um, and then next play, he said as he's thrown, incomplete. Um, so yeah, you could see how the pressure was affecting him in this like range of the game. Um, but generally, and I guess I shouldn't go through every single individual play. That'll take forever. He really only played 3 quarters because it was such a blowout that they took him out in the fourth. Um, I wonder if they had gotten the ball back in the third. Well, no, they basically had it till the end of the third. But but yeah, so that's there was a lot of pressure. It seemed like if you look at all these routes that were being run, it was a lot of dink and dunk, low A dot passes, at or behind the line of scrimmage. A lot of little dink and dunks to Bijan. They tried getting him going here. You could see here that it was kind of successful. And so they're actually quite successful. And this look, they just kept on dumping it off short, and it was kind of working, kind of not. On occasion, it seemed like the Panthers defense was just kind of swarming in on whatever the flat target player was, and so they didn't get much yak on a lot of those dump offs short on these short routes. Um, and so these short routes are kind of what set up the pick six because, and I can't really show like the clip or anything, so you'll just have to watch it yourself. But he throws a pick six, and it's not necessarily really anything Penix did wrong, I would say. Maybe you want to be a little bit more aware of what the corner is doing on that side. But essentially, like the corner read this from a mile away because they had been trying to do these flats and short targets, and they basically were spamming them in early in that like second quarter. And so basically that corner was like, "Oh, okay. They think that these short passes are always open. Okay." And so what he did was he kind of he literally baited him. He backed up a little bit, and you can watch it, and you can see him like just like he's backed up, and then he like starts to creep up a little bit as he senses that like, okay, this is gonna be a flat, and then he just breaks on it, and he jumped the route, and he just returned it for a touchdown. So this is around where the game is like getting out of hand. Uh, some of the Darnell Mooney plays were ridiculous. Like, I can filter it to Mooney. Um, he basically he had a few completions, right? But Mooney was really struggling. It seemed like um he had this is a short pass here. He got tackled immediately. But he had this dropped pass in this part of the game, the early part of the game. Then he dropped another pass in the second quarter, and then he's running this like deep in route. And this isn't really his fault, but partially because he's a small receiver. But the corner literally like hit him um mid break when he's breaking in. And I think that probably should be a DPI. I'm not like a referee or anything, but that seemed like he was complaining about that after the fact because he literally couldn't continue running his route because he had gotten hit mid route, and I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to get hit like that in the middle of your route downfield. Like you can how I understand is you can get contacted 5 yards in from the line of scrimmage, but anything past that, it's like no, you can't be hit like that. So that was pretty bizarre, and it was obviously incomplete because of that. And then he had like a comeback deeper route on the sideline where he just didn't get his feet in bounds. He caught the ball, but he didn't toe tap it in. And so that right there is like four plays that were like crucial plays within their series that just like didn't work. And so you got a scenario where pretty much everything they tried to do just wasn't effective. The Panthers limited everything they were doing to kind of shorter passes. Um, and so yeah, there wasn't much down the field. And so when they were in desperation mode at the end of the game, um, Penix got into a little bit of a rhythm here at the end in the third quarter there. Um, but he had some, nice completions. Uh, he had a corner to David Sills, and I thought that it wasn't a bad throw, and Sills just kind of stopped running the route. I maybe it was just a miscommunication, but I really don't know what happened there. They also had another miscommunication for sure um, earlier on in the game um, in the second quarter. I don't remember the exact receiver who's being targeted. There's two receivers that were cutting that were breaking out in that general vicinity, so I couldn't tell which one it was. Um, but yeah, that was 100% a miscommunication where somebody didn't go to the right spot or Penix didn't know the right route. I don't know. Usually I side with the quarterback. I think Penix is probably doing the right thing. I'm gonna assume that the receiver was running the wrong route. Uh, but yeah, and then so like this is what the ending play that kind of capped it is. So they were trying to get these deep hitches. It was a third down uh with this Mooney pass. Um he didn't really get open. JC Horn was on him. He threw like an anticipatory pass to him on this deep hitch, and he sailed it a little bit, but it's not like again, it's not like I'm super concerned about Penix after this. This seems like he's fine. It's just everything kind of around him wasn't working. Um, and the play calling, I'm not sure was the best. But then yeah, he tried to do the exact same pass to Ray Ray McCloud on the other side. And so these are scenarios where he's just thinking, "Oh, I'm trusting my receiver to just beat this guy, beat their man on the route." And they kind of just didn't. Um, on this interception, Penix again kind of threw a pass similar to what he threw to Mooney. This was a desperation fourth down that they needed to convert to kind of potentially stay in the game. And Ray McLeod, lo and behold, slips and falls as he's running the route. Maybe it would have gotten picked off anyways, but yeah, it wasn't great by McLeod there. And so McLeod also had a crucial drop um, in that third quarter too that would have gotten them a first down. They wound up getting the first still. No. That actually that incompletion actually led them to punting, or maybe it was a turnover on downs, but it was they didn't have the ball after that play, I'll tell you that. Um, I'm pretty sure. And so that was brutal. Like it was a lower pass, it was kind of a tricky catch, but McLeod should have been able to haul it in. So all in all, in Dynasty, if somebody is panicked about Penix, they had a scenario they had a scenario last week where obviously they kicked like five straight field goals. I don't think that that's predictive at all. They kind of struggled in the red zone. That's sort of just how it goes sometimes. That's how the cookie crumbles. So they kind of got unlucky last week. And then they faced against this Carolina Panthers team that seemed to like have an amazing game plan on defense to stop the offense. Um, it kind of turned they kind of turned Penix into more of a check down Charlie, which is just like completely obliterates his game. Like he's got this really big arm, and so like to see that it's kind of hard to for the Falcons to actually get going if that's the case. Um, so far, the Falcons really have struggled to get passes down the field. Um, and I thought that that was because of their lack of receiver talents with Mooney and London hurt. But I mean, I don't know, maybe they're still playing hurt, and so that's a big part of it. But again, like two kind of like really outlier performances by Penix. I wouldn't expect him to continue to perform as as low as he's been scoring in like fantasy. And so going forward, and so like if this is like the perfect time to try to buy low on him in Dynasty, if anybody's panicked that he's not good or anything like that, like I would definitely go and try to trade for him. I'm not sure exactly what it would even take to get him. Um, throw a second to someone that if you suspect that they're super panicky. If you can do any sort of like upgrade, like Daniel Jones for Penix, that seems like a good idea because Jones is like shown to not be good, whereas Penix has actually shown some really good stuff. And as a real life quarterback, and so yeah, don't panic on Michael Penix. He's still good. Uh, just this offense is going to take a little bit to figure it out. Um, so be patient. He's he's gonna wind up being a good quarterback in this league, long term. It's just looks pretty rough right now, and I don't think any of it is really his fault.